now it's time to dive into 2024 Otomes.
Yay!
Is this our first 2024 Otome of the year that we've done on the
I think
pod?
I think it's at least the first 2024 Atome that came out this year because obviously didn't have time to do Atome between everything that came out earlier
Right,
this
right,
year.
right. I know we did some stuff from like last year that you had in your backlog, but I didn't know if like
I
we had.
think this is the first new one.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to see if 2024 will be a better year for Otome than it was last year.
God, it can't be worse, right?
Well, don't count your chickens before they hatch, or don't count your
Okay, that is
boys
fair.
before they hatch out of their Otome eggs. You know, whatever analogy you want to use there.
Is that even now? Oh, that's a choice.
Anyways, hello, welcome to this week's episode of Season Lamb Checkup OVA. It's a podcast where we have conversations about video games, anime, and manga. Hello, I'm Jared, joined as always by Doc Cal and Ladium.
Hello.
This is episode 381, and we are discussing Simpy Kiss. Or Sympathy
Sympathy
Kiss.
kiss.
Simpy Kiss.
Sympathy kiss.
Okay, so for context, there's a reason I say that. There is
Okay.
a infamous wrestling promo where a wrestler is trying to say like something about like he doesn't get in, like he's not gaining any sympathy from this other person, or like
Hmm.
whatever he's trying to say sympathy, but every time he says it, he says no simpy.
No simpy.
No simpy.
I mean, some of these are kind of simpy.
No simpy. Welcome to Simpy Kiss.
Simpy kiss. Yeah, Sympathy Kiss is the game we are playing, or I played. We're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a adult. I say that as in everybody in the game is an adult, not as adult like whoa, X-rated adult. Um, like office romance, Atome. I'm gonna read the quick description to you that says new department, new job, new love? Question mark. It says about a year has passed since you started your new job as a designer at Estario, a mobile app company. Just as you were finally getting used to your job and the routines that came along with it, dot dot dot, you were suddenly asked to switch departments and join the product team for a failing app that's slated to be discontinued. Switching into this new role, you find yourself surrounded by some most highly qualified and highly eccentric men Estario employs. To add to this new work challenge, you even have to pair up with one of them. You and your idiosyncratic partner, why did they use that word? Will be together to revamp the app and get it back on track. This is all so new to you, and things are moving so fast. Will you be able to handle it? And who knows? Maybe by the end of the project, you'll find yourself with more than you could have ever imagined. So that's what we're working with here. We have no eyeballs.
We lost them in the eyeball war of 2027.
I'm pretty sure we did. It's one of the things that like mobile Atome games do that like they make it so the pro tag doesn't have eyes, and it's just like the weirdest thing. I I can't be down with a no eyeball protagonist. It freaks me out. Um, or at least like do a better job of hiding that she has no eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a what's the word I'm looking for? Accessibility thing that they're like, here's our diverse cast. Our protagonist has no eyes.
Or just like this is an easier way to make this self
Self-insert.
insert. Yeah, self insert.
That's what it is. It's designed to be a self-insert. I will say that I did not play it that way. I don't really play Atome games as a self-insert. I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't vibe with that. Um, so I went with the Akari Amasawa character. She's fine. I mean, she has a bit of a character in some of the routes. But yeah, she is kind of self-inserty, so she can't be too in your face with her personality, I guess. But yeah, you get to play as her. You're running into a bunch of dudes. I'm trying to remember the Okay, it was the same illustrator as Lover Pretend that did this game. So I don't know if you remember Lover Pretend or not.
It was a video game.
It was an Otome video game
It was an
specifically.
Atome game, yes.
Um, I've also mentioned this to you, but the range of ages in these characters is wild. The youngest is 19 and the oldest is 45.
It's a very wide range.
It is. And I even mentioned to you, like, it's kind of cool to be able to date dudes like in their 30s and 40s in an Otome game, but I wish that the protagonist was not 25 dating people in their 30s and 40s.
Hmm.
Um, but I was like, oh, interesting. Although one of them is a single dad, and I was like, I want nothing to do with that. No, thank you. Ooh. Um, but yeah, you get thrown in this department. It's a scrappy new department. You got to make the app work. Um, you get to choose which person you're going to pair yourself up with. And obviously, when you do that, you fall in love with him.
It's
Whoa!
very
Who could have
surprising.
seen that coming? Oh my God. Why? I clicked on the official website's character listing for uh Satome, and it says he's an eccentric hit maker and a personal space invader. Why why?
I don't know if I would put that as one of your bullet points.
No. No, I I wouldn't either. Although something that is really interesting about this character is he's kind of like your excitable, like ginky character type guy. But he's voiced by somebody who voiced Mitsuki Shirota and Jack John, who is a very, very different character. Like he's a very soft-spoken, like not a people person, shy character. And I was like, whoa, you sound entirely different here, my friend. Also weird that they're both called Mitsuki, but you know, is that. But yeah, he was so different in this one. Not expecting that range. Um, he is 24 and everybody knows him as like this prodigy app maker. Um, I liked him in every route except for his route.
That's always good.
Yeah, I was like, you're cool in literally every other route where you talk to me, but in your own route, you kind of suck. You're kind of a because you're trying to like give him information, like your own ideas for the app, and he's like, "No, my ideas are better. I don't need to listen to you." I'm like, "Whoa, okay." And then like you get his tragic backstory that like he made an app for his school when he was in high school, and it was supposed to be for studying, and that somebody in the app who was apparently like known for being like really, really smart did something wrong. And Satome basically like went in the app is like, no, you're wrong. Like if you're gonna come in here and say stuff, like make sure you're right about it. And then he got labeled as like a bullying character, like, a bullying person.
A bully.
And a bully, yes, that's the word I'm looking for. And apparently this has just followed him since then, that he made this app in high school and it got shut down, and it was a big deal for his high school because bullying and blah 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 blah. And he's the one who started the bullying. So he has issues when it comes to app making, I guess, and his attitude. He also rides a motorcycle. Unrelated, but just wanted to mention that. So yeah, he's just kind of a in his route, and it was really upsetting because he's so cool in literally every other route. And so like most of his route is like in his first chapter, nobody can find him, and then you find him on the roof and he hugs you and he's like, "Oh, I hope you always can find me. Like you're the one who gets me." So like literally his entire route is the protagonist like having to run around and find him. And he's like, "Oh, you're always the one that gets me. You always find me." And I'm like, "Could you just not disappear?"
You didn't realize you were going to play
Like,
an eccentric game of hide and seek here.
right, right. Like I'm not a mind reader, man. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. Like, huh? But yeah, you find out that Jared, if you click on that green-haired man in the bottom right,
Bottom right. Got it. Now loading.
downloading.
Okay.
Apparently this fella, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Toshinobu Isaka. Is that
Sure.
close enough?
Sure.
He knows all about the backstory and the bullying and all that, and has been spreading rumors throughout the department and the entire app. Why can't I talk today? App development
There's
team.
reasons.
I mean, there are, but yeah. Um, and so like one, everybody thinks that he's a bully, and two, everybody thinks he's like sexually harassing you at work because of this guy. And so then he starts like pushing you away even more because he's like, I don't want to get known as the person who bullied you or sexually harassed you. And then people start calling you like a like, whoa. I don't know where that came from, but like it was all this guy.
It's a bit excessive.
And yeah, and then they they have the conversation of, oh well, I just felt inferior to you because you're a prodigy in that making and blah 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 blah. Um, and then he decides he's gonna quit because he's sad, and Satome is like, nah, man, if you quit now, I'm gonna be so mad at you and I'll never forgive you. I want to be rivals with you. So he doesn't quit. And then you end up dating Satome and his app decision thing, like they're gonna do like fashion based on the weather. They'll give you like fashion tips in the app and it wins the contest. Woo, now you're dating. And he wants you to meet his parents, even though he doesn't get along with his parents. I'm like, okay, sure. Why are we doing this?
You know.
But literally he doesn't suck in any other route except for his route. And then I dated Minato, Kohei Minato. Did I say that right?
He's the older recruit and a cynic.
He's 25.
Hang on, I'm gonna change his pose real quick. All right, there's his back.
Okay,
All right.
change his back.
I don't
Wait,
understand this top.
does his sweater have pockets? His sweater vest? Is it a pocket? Or is that a weird
I,
fold?
it looks like a pocket, or unless it's like, well, on the front it looks like it's more like it's like split, like it's like I don't know, like it's like I do not understand this top.
Okay, but
That's all I'm gonna say.
I have a real question for you as like somebody who somewhat knows more men's fashion than I do since you are a man. Um, does he have this on backwards?
I
I mean,
don't think so.
look at his back and then think of it as the front. And you're like, that might look better.
I think it's just the lighting and just the way it sits. It's just like it's so weird. It makes no sense.
It's a weird outfit. Again, I don't know why they're calling him the older recruit when he's 25. The cynic part, that's fine. Um, but yeah, that's his outfit. He has jeans on. He's casual.
He's got one
Um,
sleeve up.
he's a grumpy guy.
Oh, he's a
If you
cynic.
couldn't tell by his facial expression that he's a grumpy guy. And he wants nothing to do with anybody. He doesn't want to hang out. He doesn't want to talk. Um, he basically gives you your tasks and says like, if there's anything in here like that you need to do, like follow the manual, completely follow the manual. If there's something that's not in the manual, talk to me. Like do everything by the book. Do not do anything extra. And so of course the protagonist is like, but what if I do extra? And he gets mad about it because you're doing the job in a way that he doesn't think you should do the job. It says he's older than me, but he's not. He's 25. I'm 25. I don't understand. Um, yeah. He's his story is weird because like you find out that he's being blackmailed.
But
Yeah. So
they're blackmailing him to wearing this weird top.
his dad left and left them with a ton of debt. And this was several years ago. And he has two siblings who are like 10 and 8, I think. And so he's like taking care of the siblings and taking care of his mom. And one of his like college friends bailed them out financially, but then it's like, all right, well, now you got to do whatever I say. And so he's been doing favors for him to basically like get him ahead, get him promotions, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, he's being blackmailed to undermine the app, basically. So he's like an insider who's injecting bad code and stuff into the app, trying to break it. Uh, and so most of the route is him being like, "You want nothing to do with me. I promise you want zero to do with me." And of course, our protagonist is like, "Well, that's just silly. I want everything to do with you, duh." And just like keeps on trying. He even like tries to play it off as like, oh, I've been using you this whole time. Isn't that wild? And she's like, yeah, no, that's dumb. You're dumb. You're not using me. I don't know what you're talking about. You're bad at lying. So anyway, they're able to like undo all the bad stuff that he's been doing and like throw the guy who's been blackmailing him under the bus. And that guy gets fired. And then his dad comes back and he punches him. I'm like, okay. I mean, he probably deserved that, but like, interesting way to greet him. But yeah, he decides that he's going to quit his job at the end of this and start like a basically like a hello work from like a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he wants to start. He wants to start his own business of like helping people find jobs. Also, something I should mention about this game is that it's horny. It is a horny game. I'm kind of surprised it's like a T-rated game, I think, but like, whoa, boy. And this guy in particular, whoa, he was revved up, vroom vroom.
You might say he was
Um,
turbo.
he was turbo, right? Like he was ready, and like apparently bitey. Like he kept biting.
Nom, nom,
Why?
nom, 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 nom.
What? I'm not a tasty stack,
Nom, 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 nom,
please.
nom.
Yeah, they heavily implied that they went to the bone zone the whole night the first time they did that. I was like, okay, well, good for you guys. Neat. Um, so yeah, his route was fine. I liked him. His whole like blackmailing stuff was stupid because like I'm gonna be real with you. If you look at the guy who's blackmailing him, Sprite versus this guy's Sprite, he's like a foot taller than him and looks like he could just like smash him like a mosquito. And obviously he's not opposed to violence because he punches his dad. So like just punch the guy out. Who gives a shit? That guy sucks. Oh, also that guy gets a divorce. Sucks to suck, my guy. Okay. And then I decided that I was going to date the boss, which I don't like dating boss routes. Just generally feels kind of icky. Um, but I actually did really like this character. If you're clicking, he's the guy next to Weird Shirt Man
He's the fierce boss.
and the clumsy tsundere.
Yeah.
Um,
This man has no
yeah,
work-life balance.
That is correct. Um, I wouldn't really call him a tsundere. I would more call Minato a tsundere.
All right,
But
I have
anyway,
a question for you.
okay.
Is his tie on backwards?
Wait, why is it square? Isn't the square part supposed to be in the back?
Also, the tags on the front.
Right. Is this man running around with a backwards tie?
I
I was
think
also
he's
very
wearing a
distracted.
backwards tie.
I was very distracted by his belt buckle all the time because I was like, is that a flag of a country? What is that?
It's a
But it's a,
sword.
I mean, that's kind of cool. I can't believe it. His tie is backwards. Bro, what are you doing? He also always looks like he's taking his tie off. And I'm like, I don't think you should do that at work.
He's like, it's choking me. Oh God, help!
He is 31 years old. He is the boss man. He handpicked you to be on his team. So he believes in you as a designer, but also you just kind of help him with tasks when you work with him. I was like, okay, like you make presentations for him. And he's like, you're good at that because you're a designer. Make me a nice presentation. Like, I don't think that's what designers do, but
You
okay,
just turn into
whatever.
his assistant.
Basically, yes. What's his pose change? Oh, he looks angry. So, legitimately, I don't think you could guess what his story is in a million years if I tried to ask you what it was. Do you have any idea?
He learns how to become a boss.
No,
He becomes a gatekeeping girl boss.
no.
Those are my two guesses.
Um, okay, well, first you get the trope of the protagonist, her apartment is being worked on and she has to find a place to live. And he's like, well, I have an extra bedroom. So, if you want to live in my house, you can live in my house. And then, they have the whole like, oh no, I ran into you in the hallway in a towel. What are we gonna do? Um, his backstory is that like rumors start swirling around how he's a bad guy in the office and that he basically like permanently injured someone as a teenager with a motorcycle and that he was a hoodlum. He was in a biker gang.
What I'm getting from this game is that all these dudes are bad at refuting rumors against themselves.
Right? They're really bad at it. Um, is one of them isn't particularly bad at things. I was just like, my God, you were so incompetent. It's so frustrating, but we'll get to that eventually. But this guy, yeah, he the kind looking gentleman in the bottom left is the president of the company, and he knows about all of this backstory and hired him anyway because he's like, I see potential in you and I don't want you to like forever suffer because of something that happened when you were a teenager. And also I feel like there's something else to that story. Also, as a side note, um, he owns a house and he owns a car, which is like cool, good job. But he owns a house because he inherited it from his parents who died, and they just don't explain anything about that. And I was like, are we not gonna talk about that? Are we not gonna talk about how your parents died 10 years ago and just like you inherited a house?
Nope,
Like
that's all you need to
you were
know.
20, you were 21 years old. Like something happened there. Why did you inherit this house? But no, we're just not gonna address that at all.
That's all you need to know. Wait for the
I
sequel.
guess I wanted to know more. I'm like, aren't we dating? Can't I know something about your parents? No. Um, but yeah, he he ends up like stepping away from um the the app that Estarcy, I don't remember how it's pronounced. app. He's like, all right, you guys can handle this. Like, you don't need the bad PR of me. But he's basically like running things behind the scenes to giving you encouragement and all that. And protagonist and one of your coworkers, Nanami, is like, no, there's something else to this story. This isn't right. So they go do some research and they find his hometown. It's a small town. And they go talk to some people, including like his middle school teacher. Middle school teacher's like, nah, he wasn't that kind of kid. Like, he wasn't a good kid, but he wasn't that kind of kid. And then they find like his best friend. His best friend is like very obviously suspicious and kind of freaking out, which comes to the big reveal of, oh no, the best friend was the one who actually hit the kid and made the kid be in the wheelchair forever. And this guy took the fall for it because he didn't want his friend to get in trouble and he went to like juvenile detention for a while and doody doody doo. Yay. Apparently both this guy and the guy who actually did it were sending money to the dude in the wheelchair for like years. I'm like, oh, okay. And eventually the sister of the guy learns to forgive, and stops doing all the bad rumors.
Yay.
Um, and also you find out that the wheelchair guy is like thankful for the accident because he's like, yeah, it sucked and like I lost the ability to use my legs for a while. I think he can like use them a little bit now, but apparently like he met his now fiance in like the rehab. And he's like, if I had not gone through that, then I wouldn't have met her. So he's thankful that it happened. And he's like, oh, that's good for him. Seeing the bright side of things. But yeah, then you end up just moving in with this dude, as you do. And nobody seems to think it's weird that you're dating your boss.
No, that's fine. He has his tie on
Sure.
backwards.
Just had his tie on backwards. Which then brings me to one of the most frustrating characters in this game. He's 28. He is Rokuro Yoshioka. And we'll say that's how it's pronounced. Um, she calls him the prince. Like the first time she meets him, she calls him the prince. Um, he works at Tempesty, which is like a partner of your company, and you're sent as basically like the liaison between his company and your company. And so like his story starts out fine. It turns out that like he had a sick little brother and that he was sent to like live with his uncle for a while they were taking care of sick little brother, and he was sad because he's like, I'm going to be alone forever. And then protagonist as a little kid finds him in the park and is like, you're a prince and we're going to play prince and princess. And then they do that for a whole summer and he like falls in love with her as a little kid and um like never forgets that whole thing. And then when they meet again as adults, and she's like, you're a prince. He's like, somebody else said that to me once. Impacted who I am today. Interesting. So then he like purposefully takes you to the park at one point, and then she's like, wait a minute. Were were we in this park? Was that you? And so yes, it was him. Whoa, cool. They met as kids. This seems fine. It is not fine. Because he is engaged already uh, to this gal who works with another company. Um, and it's one of the most infuriating stories I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Um, because like he keeps telling you like, wait for me. I'm in love with you. We'll figure this out. I want to be with you. Cool, great. And he's like, I'm gonna deal with this whole situation with a fiance. He's terrible at dealing with it. Like he tries to talk to his parents and they're just like, whatever, like we're not listening to you. He tries to talk to the gal and she's like, no, we're getting married. Duh. The gal starts like messing with his schedule so that he can never see the protagonist and starts like canceling his meetings and starts like throwing her under the bus so that the protagonist like has issues at work. She ends up like coming into a restaurant where protagonist and this guy are like on a date and starts like screeching and Yoshioka is like, hey, you need to stop that. Stop screeching in public. We'll go to a private room. We'll talk this out. And so like him and Protag start walking away, and then the gal starts like running after them, but trips and like rolls her ankle. And then she's screeching more and decides like, I have to go to the hospital. My ankle is messed up. This sucks. Blah blah blah. You have to go with me, guy. So he goes, and then like he's accused of beating her. And so like then he has all these like woman beater accusations going on in the office. And then they put him on lockdown. Like his parents don't let him leave his little bachelor pad apartment in their estate until this guy that you work with, who's like a hacker man. His name is Yofi. He like hacks into the system and basically like, hey, so at this point in time, you can be free. Somebody go pick him up. So they do that. They have a conversation. He's like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to get this canceled. It's like, bro, you keep saying that and it keeps not working and it keeps making it worse. Like, why do you think it's going to work this time? Um, and then it finally works when like he brings her with him and they're like, oh, you guys actually are in love with each other. Okay. Oh, 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 okay. And it's like, why did it take you a year
A year.
when you could have just a year? When he could have just taken her to begin with and been like, hey, I'm in love with this person. Like, look how much we're in love. But like his dad's still not super into it because like she's one of the poors. But he at least accepts that the engagement is broken. It is so frustrating.
Messy.
He just disappears for a lot of his route because that gal interferes so much. Also, what is his belt buckle?
You know, the NB belt buckle.
And then, there's his tie.
His bolo tie.
Uh-huh. Um, okay, so this guy is not on this thing, but if you go to the other thing that I sent
Secret of
you,
route.
yes. If you go to the secret route number one, just do a search in the other thing that I sent you and
Mm-hmm.
find secret route number one. Then you'll find the information on this guy. He's 19. Hey, remember I was talking about the hacker,
Mm-hmm.
Yofi?
Mm-hmm.
Secret route number one is hacker Yofi. Whoa. Um, this guy is weird. He's a gamer.
Gross. Turn away.
Run away! But he is also like, he basically stalks you this whole route.
Oh,
Like he just
fun.
follows you around. And it's like trying to make you think that there's like a creeper following you, which there is a creeper following you. It's just the guy that you're also kind of seeing. Um, he also legitimately drugs the protagonist at one point to get her back to his place. And I'm like, whoa, don't like that. Um, yeah, if you hang out with any dudes, he gets real mad about it. He gets really clingy, and I'm just like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good. The big thing that like triggers him is when he sees you with Yoshioka, the guy who was just talking about at a bar, and he's like, but he does specifically call him Roku, which was my key that was like, that's the little brother. The little brother that he was talking about that was sick when he was having to go live with his uncle. This is the little brother. Why else would he call him Roku? Um, that is correct. It is the little brother. He was a sick little boy, and now he's not.
Now he's a sick little boy in another way.
Yeah, that is a sick little boy in another way. Which it also makes sense, like why he was able to like hack into the security system for Yoshioka, because like, oh, it's his own damn house. Of course he could hack into the system. Like he's a hacker and it's his house. Duh. Yeah. Didn't like this route like at all. He also like survives entirely off pudding and chips.
It's a,
Oh, and soda.
it's the full course diet of gamers.
Pudding, chips, and soda. I
Hmm.
was like, oh man, this dude lives off the Mountain Dew, doesn't he? Um, but yeah, this dude is not ready for a relationship, but uh, guess you're getting into one whether you like it or not. Um, I hated this route. I was not a fan. I was glad that it was short. Since it's a secret route, it's like 2 chapters shorter than the rest of them. It's like, oh boy, you are nothing like your brother. No, thank you. No, no, thank you.
No,
I am
thank
good.
you.
No, thank you. So then we'll pop back to the other character thing. And then I dated a homeless man.
I do like how his first thing is moocher.
Sure. This guy is a sugar baby.
Oh, he's got a collarbone tattoo. That looks like it would hurt.
It probably would. It says what will be will be. I
Ow.
was excited because Ken is his voice actor and Ken is very good. But I was also like, why am I dating a homeless man? But I'm dating a homeless man now with a tattoo on his collarbone. It says what will be will be. Um, yeah, the first time you meet him, he's like at a bar with another woman and he like spills stuff on you and she's like, "Oh, I'll pay for your dry cleaning because he can't because he's a little guy who just lives with me and doesn't have a job and he's homeless, but he lives with me." And then the next time you find him, he's like asleep on the street and he's like, "Ah, yeah, it's, I just hanging out here now." So the protagonist takes him home like a lost little puppy. He's 22. I think I mentioned that, but anyway. Um, he is a strange character. Like there are moments that I liked him, and then there are moments I was like, "What is wrong with you, my guy?" Um, his name is Nori, so that's fun. But yeah, like he's very like he runs away when people want to have like difficult conversations with him. And it's like, oh, yikes. And at one point he like makes a carbonara and then the protagonist comes home and is like, oh, I'm just gonna put this on the table because he left this here. And he like slaps the whole thing out of her hands and like spills the food everywhere and breaks her favorite plate and she cries and he just like, I thought you were gonna eat my food.
She's a cat.
I'm like, is well, it's like, is this because he was homeless and he's like really defensive over his food? But that is not the case. This man was a chef.
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. Behind corner. Um, and once again, the allegations, they're not good at fighting against the allegations. His whole thing is that like his parents died when he was 8. Before that, they had cooked a lot. He has like a cookbook from them, so like he always had fond memories of cooking. He went to an orphanage and then he decided like I'm going to be a chef. I'm going to go to culinary school. So he does that and he graduates like top of his class and he goes to like a nice French restaurant and wins an award and all kinds of fun stuff. Basically the bear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then like people start accusing him of like stealing recipes and he ends up having like a nervous breakdown and he can't cook anymore and he like loses his sense of taste. And so he's terrified that like all the food that he makes is bad because everybody was saying like, "Oh, your food's bad now." Wah, 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 wah. So that's why he was freaking out about the protagonist even having his food because he didn't want her to eat his bad food, but apparently his food is amazing. Makes like a risotto at one point. I was like, "Oh hell yeah, I love risotto." Um, and so she like slowly tries to get him back into cooking and things that would make him happy. He their their sexy time scene is a little sus because like he was not with it. I think he was drunk. And he like pins protagonist down who's like, I don't, um, and then like they just refuse to talk about it. I was like, that smells a little non-consensual.
Not good.
Um, yeah, then like the next day it shifts his perspective. And he's like, why am I naked? It's like, you don't even remember it, my guy. Come on. Yeah, she ends up giving him the confidence to cook again, and he helps her out with her app by doing like basic cooking videos on there. Also, like somebody at her company like tries to steal her idea, but her idea wins because they're like, let's do simple dishes that can be replicated, as opposed to like fancy chef dishes that are hard to make. And then he ends up working at the Evergreen Bar as like the chef there. He has confidence again. But then immediately he's like, I'm moving out, but I want you to come live with me once I'm established. And I was like, Okay, okay." She also like buys him a phone at one point. He's like always had like a prepaid phone. I was like, this man, what is, come on. Yeah, now he's on her phone plan, so I guess they're stuck together. Um, okay. So I dated him, dated the homeless man, and then I dated secret route number two, which you
Number
can,
two.
you know,
Whoosh.
do the searching for. He is 34. He's also a single dad.
No.
Yeah, so I was like,
Get out of
oh,
here.
not into this. Like, I will say this is the first time that I've had to date like a single dad in a Toma game. I don't ever remember doing that before. Can you remember that happening?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. No, I don't remember. Anyway, protagonist like finds a 5-year-old by himself in a park playing, and she's like, "Hello, small child. Why are you by yourself? Is everything okay?" Um, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. My dad's at work, and I'm just playing. Woo!" And then he gets bullied at one point, and protagonist's like, "No, no bully, no bully." And then like waits with him until his dad comes back, and she's like, "Oh, hey, I know you because you work at Sympathy, and I have seen you in meetings." And so, they end up like sharing phone numbers, and little kids like, "I want to hang out again, so come back to the park and play with me." Way. Um, so you do that a lot, and so a lot of this is like the kiddo is looking for like basically a mom because his mom's dead. It's kind of messed up. I will say it's an interesting thing to deal with. Like it was a very like realistic situation of like single dad, here's a 5-year-old. Like they have to have the conversation with the kid of like, hey, dad has a thing for this gal and she wants to hang out with you a lot. And like she will take care of you, but she's not a replacement for your mom. I still care about your mom. She's just dead. Um, so like that's kind of cool that they had to handle that situation, I guess. Um, the weird thing that just came out of nowhere is that like he used to be an idol. And I was like, huh? What? So his whole thing is that he was an idol and he met his wife and he quit being an idol. And why he actually wanted to be an idol to begin with is that he was interested in being an actor, and they ended up telling him like, no, you be an idol instead. Um, but you end up running into like one of his fans who is very angry with him because he quit and he thinks that like or she thinks that you're the reason why he like quit and all that and ends up yelling out how like the kid was a mistake and the 5-year-old standing right there and he's like I was a mistake, I ruined things, oh no, and then runs away and they have to go find the kid who's in the park crying. um Also the sweatshirt that I showed you with like the salmon, the little bear and the salmon, it's like one of my favorite outfits I've ever seen
It's a
in my
good
life.
sweatshirt.
It's a pretty good sweatshirt. But yeah, this route actually felt pretty realistic in terms of like how the relationship would go down. Um, but I'm not into the single dad stuff, so I was like, I would have liked you without that, but I don't like you. Um, Also like they barely even kiss, so I'm like, oh, come on, give me something.
It's the
Rude.
power of the
Um,
secret route.
yeah, he does tell you like straight up pretty early on, like, hey, just want you to know, like, care a lot about you, but like if we're gonna do this, like you gotta be thinking marriage, because like this is where I'm going. I don't have time to mess around since I got a kid. And I was like, whoa, glad you're putting that out there. That's really nice of you. And then he like gives her time like to think about that. That was a they're not even officially dating, and he's like, are you thinking about marriage? But he ends up becoming an actor. Woo! He fulfilled his dream. Yay! Isn't that nice?
So nice.
Um, Also his name is really hard to say. Like Higa is fine, but his first name is really hard. Tsukihiko?
Mm-hmm.
Skihiko?
Tsukihiko.
Like it's hard to say. Um, okay, final route. Woo!
Old man with a mullet.
He does have a mullet. He is 45 years old.
He's got belts on his
Um,
arms.
he does have the arm belts, which I'm actually a fan of arm belts, so like not even mad about that.
Okay, Tetsuya Nomura.
Um, the vest is a little much for me, and the mullet. And I'm not sure what they're trying to imply with like the lines by his eyes.
He's old.
Is that what happens when you get old? You get lines by your eyes?
He's old.
Wait, do they really call him bar owner and handsome older man? Okay, that's good. Um, yeah, he's the bartender at Evergreen. So Evergreen's somewhere you go in every single route, and he's the support, and so now you get to date him. Um, the whole time he's like, "I'm too old for you. You should like maybe look at one of the dudes that you work with, because like I'm a whole decade older than you. I could be your dad." And I was like, he makes solid points. Or,
Fair point.
well,
We'll we'll
two decades.
will not listen to.
He says 2 decades. Sorry, 2 decades older. He's 20 years older than her. Um, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah. He's making fair points. But yeah, she does not listen to him. She's like, I, I want to date you anyway. And he's like, okay, but like, you're too young for me. I am too old for you. You deserve something that is not me. So how does everything come to be? For one, protagonist is just like so thirsty this entire route. Like some of the other routes, she's a bit thirsty and she's like, "Oh man, you're eyebrow like waggle." But this guy, she's just like she's so thirsty. I don't even know how to describe it. Which, I mean, I guess he's a bartender, so um but yeah, she like goes by his bar at one point and was gonna go talk to him, but then doesn't do it. I think the bar is closed. And then there's like a drunk man nearby who like grabs her and is, doing the drunk man thing that they always have in Japanese media. This guy comes in and is like, no, that's not happening. And ends up like fighting him, but he busts up his left hand in the process. Like gets it slammed into a wall and sprains his wrist, but also bleeds everywhere. Um, And he's like, well, this is bad because I'm a bartender and I kind of need that. Um, so he closes the bar for a few weeks to try and figure out like what's he gonna do. And the protagonist offers like, well, what if I come and help you, like clean around your apartment and make you food and that kind of stuff. And he finally gives in to all that. Um, and apparently like his cooking is better than hers, so she gets upset about that, but he still says that he's happy that she cooked for him. And she cleans this place, and then she's like, hey, is there anything else you've been having issues with? Like, I don't know, you need your back washed or your hair washed or anything? I could help you with that. Wink, wink, wink. He's like, sure, you know what, come wash my hair. She's like, wait, I didn't think you would accept that. Okay. So that happens, and then they boink all night. Ugh, as you do. Then he feels bad, and then he gets a call from his parental units who are like, hey, by the way, we run a traditional Japanese inn and your dad's dying. Do you want to come inherit this inn? And so then he has to decide what he wants to do, if he wants to inherit the inn or not. So there's like a few weeks of him trying to figure that out and her trying to figure out what they're gonna do. And he decides that he is going to go inherit the inn, that he's going to have Nori take over as the manager of Evergreen, which I guess cool. He's not going to be homeless. Um, because he's homeless in every other route. Actually, in every other route, the boss man takes him in, but still, um, he ends up going and taking over the inn, and they like go their separate ways. Because she's like, yeah, I'm not ready to give up my career yet, and I can't like go live in like this rural town and run the inn. I was like, you know, cool. They figured that out. And then 4 years later, he's like on a beach and thinking about her. And then like a shadow appears over him and he looks up and it's her with her luggage. And she's like, all right, I did what I needed to do. And now I'm here and let's run this in together. And so they do. And I was like, wow, now he's now 50. But I did think it was interesting that like they had them split apart for a while, like not dating, so that they could like do what they needed to do. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He was fine. He was,
He was an old man.
yeah. It was just, there's so many times that he's like, I'm too old for you. And she's just like, I'm
No.
hearing the words. I'm hearing the words you're saying to me, but I'm not listening to them
No.
because I am incredibly thirsty for you. And like I can't ever imagine being this thirsty for a man with a mullet. Maybe that's just me. What do you think?
He's old.
He's not that old. I mean, he's 45, so like if I were to date him, like it'd be still be a little weird, but it'd be fine. But like 24, 25-year old, oh, oh, ugh. So yeah, the age ranges in this game are wild. Like, why are they so all over the place? The art's beautiful though, even though we can't figure out Minato's shirt. I don't think
Why
we'll
you
ever figure
wear
out
tie
that shirt.
backwards?
Why do you wear tie backwards? And then, there's whatever the hell Nori's wearing. Like, what are those pants? I have no idea.
It's like suspenders, not suspenders, overalls, but weirder.
Overalls, but like really baggy overalls.
Yeah.
Um, and he runs around in like some like harem pants looking things at one point. I was like, bro, you good?
No.
Like the most normal looking outfit we have is Satome. Like, and his is still like, why are you wearing so many layers, my guy?
He's very cold. Also, why is he
Same.
wearing like three belts?
Is he wearing three belts?
There's like at least two. And then whatever the
Oh,
red
he
thing
is.
is.
I didn't realize I could scroll down. Why? What is he wearing over here? He's got like one of those side belts and then like a tie belt.
They're
Okay,
not
yeah,
even
you're right. He
tied
has too
well.
many
It's just like he just looped them around there and is like, I don't
looped.
know.
That thing's gonna fall off of you, my guy.
He's gonna tripping hazard.
It's a tripping hazard. I didn't realize I could scroll down. Now I'm like looking to see if anybody else has anything fun. Seems like no. Um, I was also kind of sad that Nanami is there the whole time and like she doesn't have a route, but she is like the number one bro for the pro tag, and I love her to pieces.
Makes sense.
Like she was so ready at one point. She like comes to your apartment and sees Nori, and she's like, "I'm gonna fight him. Like I'm gonna get him out of here because like he's just mooching on you. He's gotta go."
Get
Pro
out of
tag's like, "No,
here.
no, no, hold on." And then like he's able to convince her, like, yeah, I do legitimately care about protecting. She's like, okay, but like, I got my eye on you, kid. So she's ride or die. I'm a big fan of her. Yeah, not dateable. So it was a fun game. It was kind of all over the place, and everybody has rumors that they are very terrible at taking care of.
You didn't have to do a bunch of weird alternate routes to finish the game, which is nice.
Yeah, that's another thing is there's no bad ends to this game. Like there are zero bad
It's
ends.
very straightforward.
Yeah, like you get your perfect end or you get a love end or you get a work end. But like there's no bad end. It's like, oh, cool. And like to unlock all the CGs, all you have to do is do the best end and that's it. Like, oh.
Love to
And
see it.
it's nice because love to see it. Like it didn't take me that long to get through this, right?
Mm-mm.
Um, I wonder if I can check and see like
Especially compared to like other
I
stuff. So
yeah. I don't know if it'll tell me how long I've been playing it on my Switch if I boot it up. Because I think it takes like a week for that to pop up. I could be
don't know.
wrong. Let's see if it tells me. Whoop whoop. Okay, it says 60 hours or more, which is still a lot, but if you compare it to some of the other Tellme games, probably like Nor 9 was 100 hours or more. Villainous was 60 hours or more. Uh, oh, First Day Evermore was 70 hours.
70 hours of
Ugh.
pain.
Pain. Um, but yeah, this was like a pleasant experience. There were some frustrating things, but for the most part, like it was fine to get through. I did have a like special spot in there that you could like go listen to them talk about themselves if you got their best route. And it was wild because like one of the or two of the things that it asks is like, do you drink and do you smoke? And I'm like, why is this here?
You know.
Um, and most of them are either no, I do not smoke, or I used to smoke in the past, but now it's bad for me. Except for one of them, which is your boss, who's like,
I'm a boss. I'm
I
stressed.
smoke sometimes. I'm stressed. Yeah, you do find him on the roof a few times smoking. I was like, oh, oops.
Oops,
Or
me
like the one
goops.
time you come back to his house after everything's been going down, he's like at the window smoking. He's like, oh, I'm not doing anything. What are you talking about? Ugh. I'm waving my arms like crazy right now. You can't see it,
Ooh.
but that is what's happening. I'm trying to get the smoke away.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, would you like to rank this game?
Let's rank this game. I told you before
You had a
we
good
started this
idea.
one that I had a good idea where this is gonna go.
All right. Well, we have 37 games on the list. This is game 38.
hmm
Where do you want to start with Simpy Kiss?
Um, let's start at 20.
20. Is it better or worse than Cupid Paradise?
I would say it is better.
Is it better or worse than Cafe Enchanté?
I would say it is better.
Is it better or worse than Bad Apple Wars?
Better.
Better or worse than Period Cube?
Better.
Better or worse than Lover Pretend?
Better.
Better or worse than Psychedelica of the Black Butterfly?
I'm gonna say it lands right here, which is funny that it lands right by Lover Pretend because
Right?
that's the other game that this artist did.
Oops. There we go. Our new number 16. Oops.
It's not
Sympathy
bad.
Kiss. Nah. Especially compared to some of the other stuff you've been playing recently.
Yeah, I was like,
It's
this is a
pretty.
solid entry.
That's a pretty good number.
Yeah, like it was a good start for 2024 Otome because I'm like, okay, maybe this is gonna be a better year.
Can only
Um,
hope.
can only hope. Which again, the funny thing is that like if you look at ratings, like some of the ratings for this were quite a bit lower. Like, like it's fine. Um, and then I'm like, I actually kind of like this one. So me and ratings don't always get along.
It's true.
Maybe I just have different tastes in Atome than like the people who rate Atome.
Maybe. It's entirely possible.
Maybe. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's going to do it for us this week.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like more from us, head on over to seasonalanimecheckup.com or sec.cool, where you can find past episodes of this podcast and other podcasts, like Jared Now Watch. You'll also find columns and reviews on the site as well. If you'd like more from Ann Ladium, go to annladium.com. She's got columns and reviews. You can follow us on Twitter and TikTok at Anime Checkup. You can follow us on Blue Sky seasonalanimecheckup.com. You can buy our books, One Shiny Moment, a critical analysis of Love, Life, Sunshine, Hot Tubs, and Pac-Man on Amazon.com. And supports on Patreon, patreon.com/SACOVA. Buy us a slice of pizza, get access to unedited versions of the podcast early, monthly exclusive Patreon podcast, and a wealth of bonus content as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we'll talk about something else.
Who knows?